Good evening, folks. This is Andre Gadera, and we're here with the Amherst Conservation Commission. Today is the 8th of July, 2026. It's 7:04 p.m. Um, we have all here except Tina, but we're expecting her to join us a little later. And for the town employees, Aaron, Jacques, and Dave Zolmek are here. We'll start with a brief chair's report. We've been working on getting uh, the regulations, the land use regulations in place. Now what we've got left is the hunting regs, and we're partway through that, so we expect to finish that today. We have one hearing today, which is at 7:20, and then after that, we'll be discussing some, after the other business, we'll be discussing the regulations and some other household type things to take care of. As far as the current conditions out there, we do have a significant drought in this part of the state. So please, before you decide to water anything or use water in outside of your house, please look up the prohibitions and so on that are in the town's website, specifically the water department. After that, we have we're all set. Just something so that folks are aware. Our next Conservation Commission meeting is going to be at a different time than initially expected, and it will be on the 28th. Am I right about that with that date?
I believe it's the 29th, Andre.
Oh, the 29th. Okay, so the
Yep.
29th Thursday, I mean Wednesday, instead of the 22nd, when we're going to be getting some training from MACC, Mass Association of Conservation Commissions. Okay, with that said, I will turn it over to Dave Zolmek for the director's report.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Dave, thanks.
Yeah, good. Good evening, everybody. Just a couple of quick updates for you all. Andre mentioned the drought. Just a quick natural history note that I am part of a group that has been studying the eastern spadefoot toad, one of the rarest amphibians in Massachusetts for years. And during these storms that we get, even despite the drought, this is a fossorial species that comes out periodically during these spring and summer storms. And it's a good thing when we get an inch or two or three or more of rain and these toads come out. Unfortunately, we did not get enough rain in the valley here, but parts in eastern Mass, southeastern Mass, the Cape and Islands did. So spadefoot toads around the islands are doing their thing and breeding very quickly and in these very temporary pools. So we'll see if we get more rain, later this summer and get some breeding of eastern spadefoot toad. Pretty rare critter, but a lot of fun to watch and learn from. Let's see. Moving on to other business. I will ask Aaron. There is a notice going around about a Hampshire College meeting that you all are. It'll be a webinar on July 21st. I don't have the time right in front of me, but I'll have Aaron send you all the notice of that if you're interested in participating in that webinar. This is a chance for the town and our consulting team, funded by Mass Development, to give an overview of kind of where the town is. And this is really specific to zoning. This will not be Hampshire College presenting anything. This will be the town of Amherst working with our consultants, really setting the groundwork for looking at some of the zoning ideas and potential rezoning of the Hampshire College campus. So that's in the evening on July 21st. So I'll send that to Erin while the meeting is going on, and she can forward that on to you. But it'll be a chance for you all there'll be a Q&A section of that meeting that you can participate in. So that's on the 21st. I believe it'll be 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. on the 21st, but more to come on that. I know the town manager is making CPA appointments. It's plenty early. We're in no hurry. CPA does not meet until the fall, but town manager Paul Bachman making some appointments there. And just a reminder that, the Concom will need a representative, a liaison. I know Jason has done it the last couple of years, so something to keep in the back of our minds as we get closer to fall. I've been following the professional development registration and such. I think and Erin can provide you with the details on this, but I believe the commission as a whole are now members, if you will, and have access to all the online resources of MACC. And then I believe some of you are signed up for a workshop. It might be the one on the 29th. But I think to date, here we are on July 8th, and I think with those investments in professional development, we're about at $1,000. So it was quick in the new year to get some signups going and get some spending going. So between the two sets of resources, we're at about $1,000 in support for you all. So that's great to get that going. The only other update, I have actually two quick ones. Lots of use of our conservation areas out there. It's a time of year that is, somewhat quieter for Amherst, given that the UMass and the colleges are away, but we get a lot of visitors, a lot of people traveling here, visiting family and friends. Got a lot of camps. Buffers Pond is very busy these days, particularly over the 4th of July long weekend with the hot temperatures. Water quality there has been good. We test every week, early in the week, so we've been fortunate to not have to post Buffers Pond for high bacteria counts. So that is continuing. Trash continues to be refuse there continues to be a challenge. I believe the female black bear in Cubs has moved on. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they have, and they hopefully will no longer be creating kind of a mess up there with the trash. But Brad and Anthony out in the field are doing the best they can to kind of manage that. We've also had a lot of activity at Amethyst Brook. Amethyst Brook, as you know from the open space and recreation plan, is just such a super popular place with dog walking and hiking and mountain biking, and it's kind of a nexus for a lot of things. So there's occasionally conflict out there. So we can have some hot tempers and people and dogs not getting along. So we continue to kind of manage that, and we occasionally have to work with APD to help us out there. So we had some tempers flare out there at Amethyst Brook this summer, and maybe part of it is the hot temperatures. Who knows? And then the only other thing out at Amethyst, just one final note. We have a nice relationship with the Amherst Fire Department. We're very thankful that they support us out there. So they have filled the cistern out there at Amethyst Brook for the gardeners. We have 28 gardeners at Amethyst Brook this year. That's the most we've had in maybe, that I can remember, 28 gardeners. And we have a wonderful relationship with the chief of our fire department, and he authorizes his staff to go out there and take a small truck out there and fill the cistern. So we do that. We've done it twice this year to support those gardeners, because there's no easy access to water out there. And we have not historically supported having a pump in the fluctuating Amethyst Brook out there. So we fill a cistern, and we've done it twice. And thanks to AFD for doing that. So those are the updates that I have, brief. Sorry, I can't hear you, Andre.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay.
Can you please elaborate on the how many on the what you've heard as far as the conflicts? What, in other words, give us a little bit of have there been more than a couple of situations and
Um,
what?
there's always some throughout the season. Dogs not getting along, dog owners not getting along. It's, I will hear from a dozen different situations throughout the year. Our animal welfare officer, Carol Hepburn, will go out and mediate some of these. She's terrific about meeting with people out in the field. Um, she does not get out on the trails as much as she used to, but she goes to the dog park. She'll go to Amethyst Brook. She'll go to Wentworth Farm. She'll go to some of the hot spots for dog walking and try to, talk to people and mediate situations where necessary.
So, what you're saying is that the small conflicts that occurred were essentially dog issues for the most
Yes,
part? Okay.
yes, the ones I was
Yeah, I
referring
mean,
to earlier. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Just
I just wanted to know more or less
mhm.
what it is, and of course, that's the most likely candidate there.
Yeah, I mean, other examples I'll give just quickly, Andre. Glad you asked. APD will pretty routinely walk around Puffer's Pond, particularly the main beach, and they will talk to people about having alcohol there, we occasionally have open fires there. We had over the 4th of July long weekend, we had some young people setting off fireworks at Wentworth Farm. I'm not sure, it might have been a commission member who alerted us to that. But the police department, Wentworth Farm it seems to be an attractive place for young people to gather. Last year and the year before, we had quite a few fire pits out there. So we really tried to work with APD to have some conversations with the young people who are gathering out there and really try to dissuade them from gathering at night. And open fires and fire pits can really get out of control in this dry weather, and we don't want to have that. But so situations like that are kind of mediated and hopefully don't turn into kind of habitual situations. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Well, thank you. All right. Well, any questions for Dave? If we have no questions, then we'll move on to land use updates. And it looks like we have a survey coming up. Is that right, Aaron?
Yes, bear with me just one second. The Native Plant Trust has requested to do some surveying. Um, sorry, I'm just getting my bearings here. They usually, so they're looking at Lawrence Swamp and Holyoke Range, survey for 5 populations of local plants at Lawrence Swamp and Holyoke Range. Involves sending trained volunteers and botanists to visit the sites and see if the plants are still there and record the data about the populations, potentially collect a small sample of seeds for a conservation seed bank. And this is an annual application that the Native Plant Trust typically does on conservation land.
Great. Any questions on that?
No.
Any comments from the public on it? Please raise your hand if you wish to comment on it. I see no one in the public with their hands raised. So we need we're looking for a motion to approve CLU 26-3 with standard conditions.
I move we approve that request.
Carol with a motion,
Second.
Tina with a second. Tina,
Aye.
Sarah,
Sorry, aye.
Sarah, Jason,
Aye.
Bruce,
Aye.
Rachel,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So CLU 26-3 is approved. Now we move into, is there anything else? Oh, Aaron, go ahead. Oh, your
Sorry, I
hand-
keep bumping the raise hand button by mistake. Sorry.
No issues. We're all done then, land use with any land use updates, is that correct? Okay, with that, we'll move on to the hearings. And we have one, general procedure for fairness to all applicants. We have 20 minutes set aside for each hearing, 5 minutes for presentation by the applicant or their rep, 5 minutes for staff comment, 5 minutes for the public, or 2 minutes each, and then 5 minutes for commissioners. All materials that that you need to submit for these meetings should be submitted by the Wednesday, the week before the meeting at close of business. So last Wednesday should have been was the last time to submit, just so you'll know. When you're presenting, please provide us your name and preferred pronoun, who you're working for if you are presenting, or who you're presenting for. And if you are a member of the public, please provide us your name, address, and preferred pronouns. Just to make sure that that we're all on the same page. I want to make sure that only one person speaks at a time, so please speak when I recognize you. Otherwise, remain muted. All right. Well, with that now, we'll move into the first hearing. This is a request for determination submitted by Ty and Bond in behalf of Eversource Energy to determine whether soil boring and sampling activities at the former manufactured gas plant, MPG, on Pelham Road, map 15A, lots 29, 56, 39, and 47, are subject to Wetlands Protection Act and Wetlands Protection Town of Amherst General Bylaw, Article 3.31. Present, let's see, who do we have present here to bring into our meeting? Please raise your hand if you're in the, I see Kate Wilkins is there, and Saskia Oosting. See, we have 3 folks in here. Welcome to Kate and Saskia. Why don't you go ahead and give us your presentation as soon as you're ready.
Not sure my video is working. I don't know if that matters at all.
Well, only if you plan to show us something.
Just my face as I talk to you. That was really about it.
I think you're fine. And then Saskia took her is not muted anymore. Your hand is up, by the way, Kate.
Okay.
So
Okay. We'll jump right in. Kate Wilkins with Ty and Bond, and Saskia Oosting with Eversource is on as well. This is for the continued evaluation for the Amherst MGP site. Just preliminary evaluation to identify additional areas of work and kind of planning for the next phase of things. We had presented to the commission a few weeks ago, probably over a month ago at this point, about the project details, and it came up that the area was in mapped rare species habitat. So we went back to Natural Heritage and submitted a project checklist, and Natural Heritage got back to us yesterday with some additional information on the rare species and any sort of mitigating measures. So if we move forward with the the items that were outlined in the plan that was sent over to the commission yesterday, we should be able to move forward without a take of the 2 species that were identified there. There's a turtle and a mussel. And the main consideration was doing contractor training and turtle sweeps prior to entrance into the area of work. It is nice that the whole area is surrounded by a fence, so well, hopefully at least keeps out the bigger turtles. We'll still be sweeping for anything smaller that could fit through the fence. But our plan is to submit a collection permit so we can move forward with the sweep and do the sweeping prior to contractors getting in there with the mini excavator. Most of the work is done by hand with a hand auger and on foot, but the one kind of smaller excavator that needs to go in there, we'll make sure to sweep before we get in there for that. I think you're muted.
Thank you, Kate.
Sorry.
Is that the end of your presentation?
Yep, that's kind of our update for now. If anybody has any questions and needs any sort of recap on the actual project work, since it's been a little while, happy to do that. But hopefully everybody remembers what we talked about a few weeks ago and we can move forward.
All right, sounds good. All right, staff, Aaron, we'll get to comment too. Bruce, you have a question?
When is my turn?
All right, staff, Aaron, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I don't have any concerns with the commission moving forward with issuing a determination tonight. I did add in the motion just an additional condition, which is that the applicant would need to follow the conditions that were designated by Natural Heritage to follow as part of the approval.
All right, great. Thank you, Aaron. We'll pan over to the public. If there are any questions from the public in attendance, please raise your hand, and we'll let you raise your voice. I see no raised hands. With that, then we'll go to the commissioners. Bruce, you had a question.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to the site visit that we did there several years ago. And these are just 2 general questions. Not long answers needed, but when you bring toxic materials out of the site, and I remember them being put in barrels, where do they go? That's one question. Where is it sent? And then 2, are you finding difficulties or unusual circumstances with the dramatic increase and decrease, especially now the decrease of the flow of the river, and therefore presumably the groundwater is also lower?
I can answer these questions. So the material that we pump out, the DNAP, or that we have pumped out, we've stopped doing that work.
Saskia, can you speak up a little louder, please? Or
Oh,
closer to your mic?
sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Is this better?
Much better.
Much.
Great. Excellent. So the material that we have pumped out in the past, like you said, goes in barrels. It gets shipped to a facility where it gets incinerated or burned as a fuel. So that's where that material has gone. And obviously it's like a licensed facility, and it's all documented with manifests. As far as the groundwater affecting things, the NAPL that we have is quite heavy, and it's heavier than water, so the groundwater fluctuation doesn't really affect where this material was, or where it has gone, because it's really if it encountered the groundwater, it would have just sunk through it and kept going until it hit what we consider a confining layer, which is like the clay that was in Glacial Lake Hitchcock, deposit
Okay.
a long time ago.
Thank you.
Sure.
Great question, great answer. Thank you. Any other questions from commissioners? Comments? No? Okay, well then, with that, we're looking to have a motion as per what's on the screen now. Looking for a motion
I'll
from
do it.
someone who can read small.
I move to close the public hearing and issue a positive determination of applicability under Wetlands Protection, Town of Amherst General Bylaw, Article 3.31, checking box 5, and a negative determination of applicability under the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, checking box 2, with noted required conditions. An additional condition shall be added that the applicant must follow the conditions in the NHESP approval letter 26-20406.
I second.
All right, that was Bruce with a motion and Rachel with a second. Rachel,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Tina,
Aye.
Carol,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
Bruce,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So, thanks both Kate and Saskia, and good luck with the project.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You bet. With that, we're now gonna move into the other business of conservation land management policy and regulations, final draft. Talking about hunting. So let's see, during the last meeting, we were discussing, we agreed that we will want to keep some form of hunting open. So we then went through recommendations by the town and through the list of properties that were recommended to be hunting closed to hunting. And we went through the list of sites where the town recommends hunting be allowed. And now what's pending is the places, the properties that are on the middle column of our list, which is review to consider hunting, to whether to allow or not allow. Did we have anything pending on the recommended to be prohibited that we remember, Aaron? Any of these that
I think we got through the entire list last time, as I recall.
okay. All right, so with that, then why don't we do this? Aaron and Dave, why don't we go through this list, the middle column, and you can tell us what your thoughts were when you decided to put these properties in that middle column. That way it'll help us it'll spark our conversation. Does that make sense, Aaron and Dave?
Sure. Sure.
right.
Why don't we'll do a similar thing where Aaron and I can kind of share the mic here a little bit.
Yes.
Before we launch, Andre, I apologize. I don't know the agenda as well as you and Aaron. Do we have any other applicants waiting through this, or is all business pretty much through for the evening in terms of applications?
I'm not sure about that, Dave.
There aren't any folks in the waiting room for attendees for any of the pending other business items right now.
Okay, so Pure Sky might be coming later, is what you're saying. Okay,
Yes. Yep.
understood. Okay, So yeah, so why don't we launch right into this? And yeah, so I think Aaron, if you could have the map up as well, we could jump around that map a little bit. But let me quickly review. So we're going to go through the middle column, conservation area by conservation area. If there's no questions, we'll just keep going. I want to reiterate, this was Aaron and I having conversations really from kind of a contextual standpoint. Where are each of these conservation areas? What are they? What is the context under which we own and manage and control them, the town through the commission? Are they adjacent to homes, apartment complexes, roads, open space, APR land, forested land, et cetera? And this is kind of our common sense approach to, and this column in the middle is our recommendation for you to consider hunting for some of the reasons we're going to talk about. So Zala is the middle outlined parcel in orange, I guess that is. This is between Podick and Catherine Cole. The town purchased this as part of the acquisition working collaboratively with the Kestrel Trust a few years ago. You may recall Kestrel picked up about 190 acres in Hadley to the west. That's the white area over near the Key, the Legend. And this is a 23-acre parcel between two longtime holdings of the town, Podick and Catherine Cole, where hunting has been allowed for decades. So we were recommending that you consider allowing hunting on the middle parcel as well. So all three of these parcels made sense to us because they're surrounded by many acres of already hunted land. This is off of 116. You can see 116 cuts due north right there. Thank you, Aaron. And this has adequate parking, etc. So
Right. Thanks.
that is, yes.
We could probably be even more brief than that,
Okay.
Dave, especially given the fact on this one, it's surrounded by hunting area.
Okay. We'll keep going. You
Yeah,
all
so-
just stop us if need be.
So
Schwab,
let's do this, Dave. After each one, let's just check them off. So any questions on Zala? I don't see any questions. Okay, just raise your hands if you have a question on them or a comment on them as we go through. That
Okay.
way what we'll do is we'll assume that there are no questions on each one unless people raise their hand. Is that that's going to work, I think, a little bit more smoothly. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
Next.
We're gonna move south down 116. This is a 7.7 acre parcel. It is near just for context, Aaron can show you where the old 116 comes together with Meadow Street, and the old auction barn, which was a marijuana dispensary, is right there. This is a parcel right along the Mill River. The Mill River doesn't show up in these layers, but it is surrounded by APR land. Aaron, maybe you could show where the APR land is. And the area in green, I believe that's with the setback from the road, and that area in green seemed huntable to us, with setbacks from 116 and setbacks from the building to the southwest, I guess that would be. So that's
Those are agricultural fields beyond it as well, right?
Yes, it's all APR land. So that's Schwaz. So I'll pause.
That area there used to be stocked. I used to hunt on the other end of that.
No questions. We'll move on.
Okay.
Parsons Knoll. We'll wait for Aaron to get us there on the wonderful map she created.
Bear with me just a second because I'm not, for whatever reason, it's not popping up.
There
it
is
is.
little old Parsons Knoll,
Oh, I see why.
4.3 acres. This is, I don't know the history of this. We've owned it for a long time. I'm sure I have a file in my office with the history of it, but was purchased or acquired many, many years ago. We'll get the context here, but again, it is off the beaten path. It is away from roads. It is away from most houses, and it is surrounded in part by Coles land. To the north, you can see the green is Eastman Brook Conservation Area, and then the land in between Eastman Brook and Parsons Knoll, I believe, is mostly owned by the Coles company. So we thought this was away from roads, away from houses. It could be hunted, and probably the land around it already is. So therefore, we landed on recommending it to you. Pause. Any questions?
There is a
Sarah, I see
question
Sarah.
from Sarah.
Yeah, I just have, I don't know a lot. I mean, you guys know this all really well. When you're describing the land, is it possible to say whether or not there are trails that people hike on in it?
Sure.
Just to get a sense of how it's used by the public.
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Cushman Brook. We'll move east from here. So Cushman Brook is a part of the Cushman Brook corridor that the town has been working on for probably 50 years. We most recently picked up the parcels that Aaron could probably point out. But again, this is a complex. It says on your list 71 acres and 49 acres. This is an area along the upper Cushman Brook that feeds Puffer's Pond. We don't, Aaron, and again, please jump in here anytime, Aaron. We don't have any designated trails as far as I know in there. There are some local neighborhood trail usage, if you will.
There's a
but-
trail that comes up, a trailhead on the
I'm
north
sorry.
side of North Leverett Road, I believe, with a
Thank
very
you,
small
you're
parking
right.
area. And then there's a little sort of informal parking area on the south side, but that's primarily for like fishing and
Yeah, there's not extensive trails on any of these parcels, but there is a little loop trail, as Aaron said, that would be the north side of East Leverett Road, right up in there. But other than that, people use it for fishing. We historically had some farming on Haskins Meadow, but we haven't for quite some time. It's a lot of forested land, and then riparian corridor with associated habitats along the Cushman Brook. It's a really sweet little area. But we thought it was large enough, and in that context, could be considered for hunting.
Thank
And
you.
Haskins Meadow is the next one. It's part of that complex. So you see that little meadow as you're going toward Shutesbury and up toward the S curves. You see Haskins Meadow on your right. It's an old field. It's in early successional habitat. We've been keeping it in early successional habitat for a number of years. Bluebirds, great habitat right there along the Cushman Brook. And we recommended that you consider that as huntable. So that's Cushman Brook and Haskins Meadow go kind of together.
Thanks, Dave.
Large acreage.
Bruce has a question.
So the question is, what is the 90-degree angle line that seems awkward and strange? And can you point out where the Cushman Market is so I can get my bearings here?
The 90, sure. What's the 90-degree line?
Well, you see how there's a line that basically one line goes north to south, the other goes east to west, and they come up to a 90-degree angle, and I don't know why.
Is that the town line? Do you mean the town line? I'm not right
I don't
there.
know. I'm asking.
Oh yeah,
I'm
that's
asking.
the town line. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
that's fine.
that's Shutesbury and Leverett. Yes, those are the
Okay.
town lines.
All right.
Shutesbury to the right and Leverett to the upper.
Okay. So therefore, some of what we're talking about is in Shutesbury.
We are, yes, good point, Bruce. Sorry. I've stared at these maps too long. So we are showing on here, and again, Aaron, please jump in. You created this map, but we are showing some land that is in Shutesbury. You don't have the authority to allow
Make
hunting on
make
land that you don't
regulations outside
control.
of this town, yeah.
We have helped manage that for, again, a number of decades. So we help the town of Shutesbury manage that land. And we do, to Sarah's question earlier, we do have some trails on that property. So thank you for pointing that out.
Okay. And then a follow-on to that, which does not require an answer right now, but at some point, are we in discussions with the Shutesbury Conservation Commission about how they're managing anything that is right on the line?
We should be. I think we'd like to get some feedback from you all on whether you believe and I should say the only portion that is called Haskins Meadow and Cushman Brook is in Amherst. Actually, off the top of my head, I'm not sure what Shutesbury calls that odd-shaped parcel there. But we should be in contact with them to say, if you decide to put it on your list as potentially huntable before the public hearing, we would reach out to them and say,
Right.
hey, do you have any concerns about this?
And we don't need to talk about it tonight, but at some point, there are several other places on our boundaries that are like that. I think Lawrence Swamp, piece of Lawrence Swamp is like that. So I think we should reach out to our neighbors and make sure that the conservation commissions in those towns have this information and are aware of what we're doing here
So I'm
for the ones that are right on the boundary.
sorry, when I'm sharing, I can't raise my hand, but I'm pretty sure that this is Haskins Meadow continues over onto that piece. I'm not sure why. It's all, that's interesting.
Anyway, just for we should look into it. Obviously, it's an easier task given that
Find out
Beth
more.
is on both sides of the line in her work too. So,
All right. So I don't think we need to figure out the name of this
No.
this right now.
Thank you.
Now, though. Let's keep moving on.
yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.
Okay. I'm
Um,
going to move to
Patterson?
kind of North Amherst and Patterson. Just again, for context, this is a parcel off of East Pleasant Street, east of East Pleasant Street. A lot of people have really never visited it, probably because we don't have a trail system there. We acquired this long before I joined the town service. My understanding is it was mostly subdivision open space and very wet and couldn't be developed. And that's one of the reasons we ended up with it. It is surrounded, at least on the north and the east and part of the south, by subdivisions developed during the 70s and 80s and into the early 90s. And then to the west or to the east or to the right, you head out into the farm fields and APR land of Northeast Street. So just to give you a little context, it's a large area, 60 acres, and the green portion is out of, again, I don't want to repeat myself, but Aaron, the green area is the area that is well outside of the required setbacks for the state. So we thought those acres could be hunted. Any questions? If not, we will keep moving. Hart Farm, not too far away as the crow flies. Hart Farm is that small, rather odd shaped green area in the central lower area of this slide. This is off of Strong Street, coming from Northeast Street. Aaron could probably indicate where the railroad tracks are. You go in the low portion of Strong Street, and the railroad tracks go due north-south. And this is a piece of property, we do not own up to the roadway, to the right of way. That is part of an APR farm. And then you have the 12-acre Hart Conservation Area. Again, we have no trails back there, but it's part of a larger complex surrounded by APR land and other farmland. And we thought it could be included in huntable acreage for the town. Good setbacks, you know, wetlands, some upland areas, and right along the railroad tracks there, and potentially huntable.
And just to make sure, this is the portion that's on the east side of the tracks?
Correct.
Thank
Because
you.
really what's on the west side we talked about, and that is the area around Wildwood, you know, that is in the larger portion there, the larger green parcel that we talked about last time.
Yeah. Okay.
Moving on. And Andre, could you just remind us, what are the setbacks? The setbacks for an active rail line, are they the same as a roadway?
No, there's no I have seen no regulation on the rail line.
Okay. Okay, good to know.
And the
Aaron
only one I've
probably,
seen is the rail trail,
yes.
which is 150, but otherwise it's roads and residences or occupied, basically a residence occupied.
Okay.
The
Yeah,
only
I'm sure.
federal law I'm aware of is you're not supposed to cross the railroad tracks, I think.
Mhm.
But
With a loaded shotgun or with
correct. Yeah, with a loaded, yeah.
Okay, good to know. I think, yeah. So moving along to Brickyard, a larger area, 89.2 acres. So this is an area along the rail trail, a very nice mix of habitats, a lot of wetland. The Hop Brook comes through there. It has historically been an area that has been hunted. People duck hunt down there. They probably deer hunt. Um, and we thought it was large enough. And you can see in the green area designated that part or that portion of the parcel that could be huntable within the state laws. So Brickyard made some sense to us as long as people respect the setback for the rail trail, etc. So that is Brickyard, 89.2 acres.
Thank you, Dave. Sarah has a question.
Yeah, so we're now in my almost daily walking area, part of this. So I don't know where it is, but somewhere in here is the cut through that everybody uses to get from Hop Brook, the road, to the rail trail. There's a cut through and you cross the railroad track to get to the rail trail. And then there's as you're walking along that pretty, you know, it's a pretty long path. To the right, there's you know, the trail that goes off to the right there, and it comes to an old building that's falling down that might have been part of a train station at one time. I'm not sure. But anyway, do you know where in this property is that cut through that I'm talking about?
I
So
don't know if go ahead, Aaron.
I believe it's in the vicinity of Hop Brook. So there's kind of like a loop trail that you can take if you come through this way, and it pops out over near Kestrel Lane. And I think there's another one that comes out on Old Farm. There's a loop that you can do, like the Harvey Allen Trail comes in from Stanley Street, and you can pop into Wentworth, come all the way around, connect over to the Upper Fort River, come through the Brickyard and connect to the bike path, and then you can walk down the bike path and do a full loop and come back over to Old Farm.
Right, I'm talking about, yes, I know all of those trails, but I'm just talking about the one that goes from Hop Brook to the rail trail. I guess it just doesn't show on this map.
Yeah,
Anyway, yeah.
are you familiar with the trail that comes in off Southeast Street through, it's called the Hop Brook
Yes, but
property?
that's off the rail trail. I'm talking about the one that connects the road called Hop Brook, that's part of
Yeah,
the,
so Hop Brook Road is right here.
yeah, and somewhere
And
along there, there's a road that goes from Hop Brook to
yeah,
the rail trail that everybody
yeah.
uses
But
So
across.
the blue is the rail trail.
Yeah.
Blue is rail trail. There's a trail that comes in Hop Brook. It crosses over the rail trail, cuts across Brickyard, and then connects over to Hop Brook.
Oh,
So it's right
okay,
in this vicinity.
okay.
I believe that's the part of the KC Trail.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. Yep,
Yeah.
the KC Trail.
So we
What was it,
certainly,
Sarah, that you were,
I
you
just,
were
I just
asking
am,
about?
my only concern is, for just that folks know if you're opening places to hunting, the places that are just very, very heavily used. So, the rail trail itself obviously is, but so are the trail, so that particular trail, in my opinion, less so, although it still is the trail. Like, you can go in Wentworth, you can go through Wentworth, across the rail trail, through another field, over a bridge, through another field, and to the
Yeah.
rail trail. You can do
Yep.
that. And
That's up
there
here.
used to be folks that I used to meet occasionally, folks that were hunting for pheasants in those fields. I personally am less concerned about that because you can see people. I'm a little bit more concerned about really heavily trafficked, which that path is, trails that go through the woods. It's just that folks realize when it's very heavily used, which that cut through path is. That's all.
Yeah. I would say also that whether open or not, we should be doing some signing,
Yes, that's a very good idea.
and
Yes,
maybe,
because I think, as you said, Andre, I think people still hunt it. People will park their pickup trucks at the beginning of that trail during hunting season, and I don't know whether they're walking along the railroad or what they're doing, but there are definitely folks hunting in there anyway.
yeah, yeah, it's a really good place for birds and the for for ducks and uh what is it, woodcock. Yeah, I think it's really good hunting for that. So anyway, okay.
so right in there is also that
Investment
Hop
big.
Brook parcel, Aaron, correct?
Yes.
Which is right there, which is right along the KC Trail headed down to the rail trail. And there's some nice wetland area there. Again, that's an active trail coming off Southeast Street. There's no parking up on Southeast Street. I doubt there ever will be because our property is very narrow there and it's a very dangerous part of Southeast Street. So I would not recommend ever trying to add parking there. So it's mainly a neighborhood cut through, and the KC Trail. If people are through hiking on the KC Trail, they will use it and pop out on Southeast Street and then pick up the KC Trail further.
Oops.
So that's Hop Brook. It's a small area, but the Hop Brook obviously runs right through there. And there's, again, quite a bit of habitat there for ducks and geese and woodcock and other birds, as Andre said. Plum Brook moving south. So Plum Brook, this is part of a decades-long effort to try to protect land along the Plum Brook corridor. We have Hop Brook, the Plum Brook, Mill River, Cushman Brook, and all of those have received a lot of attention and a lot of funding through the years. And Plum Brook is this 42-acre parcel in the middle of that, Aaron. Those colors are a little subtle, but it's right there. And again, it's surrounded by some town land, but also some agricultural land and just kind of wet meadow out there in that entire area that isn't subdivision. You can see the subdivision surround it on Pomeroy and Potwine, but there's a large area in the middle there. There's a sweet spot that is both private land and then in green public land. So we recommended you consider allowing hunting in there. And then Muddy Brook is right next door to the west. So this complex made a lot of sense for us to consider opening for hunting, allowing hunting. Upper Fort River. So Upper Fort River is just to the north of Brickyard. As you're headed, Aaron, maybe you could show the intersection of Mill Lane and Southeast Street for context. And then there's the first underpass right there where the rail trail disappears, if you will. And Upper Fort River is about a 13-acre parcel in there. Again, the Hopbrook and the Fort River come through there and then go under Southeast Street and the rail trail. So this is an area with a lot of water, we used to have a pretty extensive trail system back there, but frankly, with the dynamic floodplain and movement there, we lost some bridges. And so there is one trail that cuts through the Harvey Allen Trail, Aaron. I don't know if you could kind of roughly, map that out, something like that. Cuts through and heads over toward the area that Sarah was referring to earlier. And that is a pretty well-used trail. You get through hikers and runners, as well as folks fishing in there along the Fort River. But again, when we've had earlier conversations about trails, that was from the staff standpoint and the feedback we got from the commission, that was not deemed, something to use to eliminate areas for hunting. It was deemed okay for most areas. So Muddy Brook, Upper Fort River, and now we jump all the way south down to Bay Road to Sweet Alice. Sweet Alice is the complex of acquisitions we've made through the years, some very old and then some more recent. This is the area that surrounds the Kestrel office. If you could maybe show where the Kestrel office is, there's the Kestrel office. This doesn't show Plumbrook Pond, but Plumbrook Pond is just to the left or to the west right there. And this is an area, I believe, the owner of the house, Aaron, if you could show the house, the owner of that house spoke to you last meeting about her concerns about hunting and the fact that they do have some people come out onto their property, and some people get lost up there on the range, but that happens to many people. So this is a large area, 90 plus acres. The Mount Holyoke Range State Park is open for hunting, and it abuts to Mount Holyoke State Park. Aaron and I have had some informal conversations with Kestrel. They may want to come to the public hearing. I don't know if they will, but they were interested in your deliberations. I don't know if there's anybody in the audience tonight, but they were interested in where the commission might go relative to their programs and their, the increasing visitorship around their property and around our property, which is the pond there at Sweet Alice. So that is 90.4 acres, all of that green. And you can see the light green would be not huntable per state law, and the dark green would be huntable. Again, practically speaking, that finger of the dark green goes right through the Plumbrook Pond, I believe. So, you have to take this with a little bit of a grain of salt on the context. Richie, why don't we move I'll pause there. Any questions about Sweet Alice? We can move east from here along Bay Road to the 19-acre Richie property. Richie is a wonderful piece of former farmland and orchard that we picked up some years ago from the Richie family. They very much wanted to do something conservation minded. It is kept, at least part of it is kept in early successional habitat now. There is a trail, Aaron, and an informal parking area. If you could show maybe where the informal parking area is, it's right there. And then there's a trail going due south right up the Mount Holyoke Range, which is in blue. Again, the back section of this abuts the Mount Holyoke Range State Park, and we thought with the appropriate setbacks and spacing that the back portion of this seemed appropriate for allowing hunting. And that is Ritchie, 19 acres. Dakin is a similar property. Dakin, Lyman are similar properties on the Mount Holyoke Range. Here they come into view. They abut Ritchie and have similar characteristics to, if you will. You have the frontage on Bay Road, and then our properties are set back to some degree. I believe part of Dakin is on the extension of Mechanic Street, I believe that is. My memory serves, and then Lyman to the east. So again, that darker green seemed logical to allow hunting, if you will, and with the appropriate setbacks for the houses set back from Bay Road. So that's Ritchie, Dakin, Lyman, all three abutting, and abutting also the Mount Holyoke Range. And then we could go to Houston Gage in Shutesbury. Again, this is, I hadn't looked at this map before tonight, but so this is an interesting outlier. It's a very, very odd situation. I'm not aware of another one, but somewhere back in time, the town of Amherst was able to acquire the Houston Gage property, 67 acres in Shutesbury. And it was in an unusual way, was acquired not for water supply protection, but for conservation. And I would have to do a little digging around to see how that was even possible, because that is not normally a legal avenue for a town to purchase conservation land in another town. So I'm not sure how that all went through state and local process, but it predates me. And so therefore we own and control the 67 acres of Houston Gage. There is water supply protection land all around Houston Gage. It's a wonderful wooded property with a quite an extensive trail system. People use it for cross-country skiing, hiking, mountain biking, I presume, and probably hunting, because water supply and watershed protection land around it are open for hunting. So we thought, and there are no houses there because most of the land around it is for water supply and watershed protection. So we thought it was logical to allow. I think to Bruce's point earlier, if you recommend this land, we would do some outreach to the folks in Shutesbury to make sure they are aware of your intentions, if that is the way you move. So is that our list? Is
That's
that
an
it?
incredible property right there.
I'm sorry.
It's a really nice property. That whole area up there off of what is it?
Sand Hill Road. Yep.
is absolutely incredible.
Yes.
Really nice property. I see Bruce has his hand up. Bruce?
Well, I'm just going to reiterate the point I made earlier. And in the context of getting ahead of it, we may want to have some practice at doing this, given that it's plausible this topic will come up in the context of jointly managed conservation land that is in Hadley in the Hampshire College property.
Well, just to be clear too, Bruce, Shutesbury does not manage this with us, but it's
Well,
in the
I
town of
guess my
Shutesbury.
point is maybe they should. I'm advocating for some further ahead thinking about joint management and at least some conversations about because maybe they don't even know this is here.
Oh, I'm sure they do. Yes, I've talked with members of the planning
Okay,
board.
well, anyway,
I think
I don't-
communication is the key.
Okay.
Shutesbury, keep in mind, Shutesbury does not have any staff to manage conservation land, so I'm not sure, that's one of the reasons why the area close to Haskins Meadows is they've asked us to help them out
Fair enough.
for years. But I think
I'm
communication is the key.
I'm sure coordinating with them will be easy to just let them know if we do decide one thing or another.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
So I believe that is the list. Is that right, Aaron?
Yes.
So those are our recommendations. If there are any questions for Aaron or myself, we'd be happy to do the best to respond to them.
Is there anyone in the public who wishes to make a comment or have any questions or anything regarding hunting on town's conservation lands? I don't see any hands up. All right, I don't see any hands up here.
Thank you. I have a question.
Oh, please.
I just have a question actually really for you, Andre. Not to put you on the spot, but you know more about hunting, way more than I do. So I think I understand the rationale for the importance of hunting deer beyond just that hunters are conservationists by and large, and I know. But can you just help me out with birds because I'm a birder, so like what's the rationale for allowing hunting for birds?
More than anything, it's as far as rationale, it's the tradition. I don't think for birds that we would be seeing overpopulated, over populations of the different birds that are hunted usually. If you're talking migratory game birds, you'd be talking about ducks, geese, and woodcock and doves, which are not hunted in this state. For the most part, those are the ones that are, and those you're not going to control those populations don't need controlling. So that in terms of those game birds, it's not it's not a management. There is no management benefit that I see other than the traditions. If you're talking about some of the other animals like rabbits and squirrels and so on, I don't think that the hunters really affect the population either. So when we're talking about the populations, for the most part, it's the deer. Or if some folks have an issue with predators, but predators tend to follow the prey. When there's less prey, the predators come down as well. So in a natural way, that is, natural setting. So there's your answer.
Can I ask a follow-up question? So like, would it be ever, well, just for example, in the Lawrence Swamp area, that, as you know, I'm sure you know this, it's just absolutely packed with all sorts of birds and birders. So the birders come constantly every day with their binoculars and their cameras and
And one of them.
so what's that? Yes, exactly. I knew you were. So would it be possible to say that hunting of deer, that not allow hunting of like ducks and birds in a particular area, but allow the deer, or is that not a possibility?
Well, that's a possibility. I don't know that it would be fair. Um, I think as long as folks know that there are other people out there, I think that's the important part.
No, I'm worried about the birds, not so much the I
about
mean, I
people-
am worried about the people getting hurt, but I'm
What
I'm
birds
wondering.
can they shoot other than ducks, geese, pheasant, woodcock, and grouse if there's one there, and some pheasant that are left over.
Right.
They're
I'm
not
just
gonna shoot the
personally
birds
worried about the
that
duck.
birders watch. I mean, those are not game birds.
Right. Well, they look at woodcocks. Okay. All right. Okay. Thanks. That's enough of an answer. Thank you very much.
So when people hunt, they're going to be hunting the game birds. They're not going to be hunting the birds that folks typically watch.
Okay. Yeah, I got it.
I love to see woodcock and I watch them and so on, but yeah, I mean the songbirds are all protected. All migratory birds that are not migratory game birds that I mentioned before, they're all protected. Every single one of them.
Okay.
That includes hawks and owls and eagles and songbirds, etc. If you can think of any bird other than the gallinaceous family, like the pheasant, turkey, and uh, partridge, the only other birds that are protected that are not protected are house sparrows, starlings, and pigeons.
Okay.
Everything else is all protected by the federal government and
Great.
state.
Thank you.
Any Bruce, your hand was up for a little while.
No.
So those are the properties that the town recommended to consider for hunting. Does anyone have a problem with opening any of those properties? Other than some concern about, I mean, Sarah, you did voice your concern. I'm sorry, I don't mean to, I'm not trying to sideline it.
Oops.
Sarah.
Sorry, maybe I'm the only one. There's some that I have more concerns with than others. Not that like I said, I don't understand, I'm not the hunting person. I would have more, I think I made a list. So I would have more so Kestrel, even though I know that's part of, that Sweet Alice is adjacent to, I understand the rationale that it's adjacent to the, the mountain, and that's all open to hunting. I do think Kestrel, I mean, it is pretty heavily traveled and people are learning more and more about it. And the trail system as it becomes, it's very well marked. The one that goes all the way around the pond, and there's a trail that gets to that thing from so, again, I do worry a little more about areas that are heavily used by people. I just do. So, so Kestrel, and like I said, the Lawrence one, and maybe the Southeast Street one, and I don't know the Cushman property, but some of them that are sort of smaller and more isolated, and that are going to have people walking on trails, I'd be more personally, the ones that are surrounded by other land that is hunted already, that abuts all of that land that's sort of surrounded by other land or abuts already hunted land, seems like fine personally to me. I just am more concerned about the areas with trails and more people, particularly if it's isolated.
Thanks. Carol?
I was just thinking that regarding the property around Kestrel, that it would be important to get their input. I think that would be a good neighbor thing to do. And you're right that, there's a lot of people there, and I've seen people there that are just like they've never been there before, and they're not so sure what's what. And I do understand that hunters don't go around places where there are lots of people. Anyway, I get that.
Thanks, Carol. I'm curious about their input as well. I'm also curious because for some reason I had thought that their properties are meant to remain open to hunting. Though I do see the importance of keeping folks around the pond and all safe. Anyway, Bruce.
I have a process question. Is it correct, my assumption, my working assumption, that what we're doing here is deciding what to send on to a public hearing? That we're not making a final decision about any of these properties. We're simply saying this is the list. We're going to have a public hearing, after which we then make a final decision.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Dave?
Yeah, thanks, Andre. A couple of things to clarify. One is, I want to be crystal clear that, Kestrel only owns about 2.3 acres, 2.4 acres around their house. So everything else, including the pond, the trail, that is all town conservation area under the care, custody, and control of the Conservation Commission. So there's kind of sometimes a misunderstanding because Kestrel lives there, that it's their property. So everything at Sweet Alice, from the Sweet Alice parking lot south up to the range and including the pond, is all town of Amherst land. They just own that little cutout around their house. I do believe it would be good, as some of you have mentioned, to get their feedback. One thing that's occurred to me throughout this conversation and in my talks with Aaron as we've gone through this is, how, and Bruce is absolutely right. We go to the public hearing, we get input from the public hearing, and then you come back, you deliberate, maybe you'll change some things. You'll go, maybe we should tweak that based on feedback, et cetera, and then you take a vote on the following areas. But one thing that occurred to me is, based on the maps that Aaron produced, and your decisions and the feedback we get, we're going to have to create an online map showing what areas are that you decide are huntable, what areas are not. So there'll be a list, there'll be a map. I know, and one thing that occurred to me as we were talking about the Plumbrook Pond near Kestrel's small property is Conti, the Conti Refuge over in Hadley. If you've been to the extensive boardwalk and whatnot over at Conti, Conti has a wonderful map. I might have shared it, and we can put it in your packet. It shows the Conti holdings in Hadley, and then it has what I would call an overlay. And the overlay covers the trail system at Conti, right? Where you get out of your car and you do the walk around the boardwalk and all of that. That area is shown as an overlay, non-hunting. The rest of the Conti holdings
Oh, cool.
are huntable. I believe. I haven't looked at that map in a few months, but I remember getting it and being very impressed with it. So we might have to produce something like that to demarcate, if or to suggest and encourage those hunters who are going out on Ritchie or Lyman or even Sweet Alice, to give them a sense that the back portion of Sweet Alice is huntable, but the area around the Kestrel office is not. So, there are ways that we can communicate this, I think. But, we've got a little more work to do on this. And
Good idea.
once we've had the hearing and you do your work and vote, then we can figure out how do we communicate this in the best way online, but also at the trailheads. How do I, on those brand new kiosks with brand new signs, how do we create a nice map and some signage that says, hey, you can hunt Ritchie if you decide that, but it's really the back portion of Ritchie. You shouldn't really be hunting up near the houses along Bay Road. And Andre would say hunters should know that anyway. Right.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, I'm just giving a little flavor where my mind is going, like a couple steps down the road.
And just on that same thing, on that same exact phrase you had there, Dave. Just so everyone knows here, all hunters have to, who hunt in Massachusetts legally, have to go through a hunter education course. And in order to go through the hunter education course, one of the things that they learn is the laws. And they make sure to teach folks that, look, if you're going to go hunt in a certain place, make sure you know the land first before you get out there and start to hunt it. Of course, any deer hunter and now I'm talking deer, who wants to be successful is going to have had a look at the properties that they're going to hunt before they hunt it, for the most part. But anyway, just a little background. Bruce.
So very quickly, Dave, can you briefly characterize the overlay between the town properties and the Kestrel land trust properties, and in particular the ones that I think there's a joint venture between the town and Kestrel?
I'll be brief, Bruce. We don't have a joint venture of management. We don't have any formal joint management agreement. Aaron,
I don't know,
from
just
my
there's some
memory.
signs around where it says Kestrel Land Trust and then the town.
Well, so
Yeah. So that's just acknowledging, Kestrel has been a partner with the town on the acquisition and preservation of both conservation land, watershed protection land, and APRs for 60 years. That's really just our attempt to acknowledge that they're a partner in the preservation of those lands. We don't co-manage any of those lands with Kestrel.
Okay, that was my question.
And Kestrel, as far as I know, Aaron, we just finished the draft of the open space plan is really close. As far as I know, Kestrel they own a parcel where their office is, and then they own a very small parcel off of East Pleasant Street,
Okay.
near Strong Street, but they don't have any other holdings in Amherst, unless I'm missing something, Aaron.
so they own
Oh,
the
they
property
just-
abutting Amethyst Brook in Pelham, right on the town line. Or it might be in Amherst, but it's right on the town line.
It's over the town line. I don't
Okay.
think it's in Amherst. And then
That's fine. I just was looking for the context.
And then the
also
small piece,
Mount Boreas.
yeah, Mount Boreas, they just acquired. And then there's also a small piece that they own that's south of Catherine Cole, or I believe it's
Yeah,
Catherine
these
Cole and
little
North Amherst.
teeny
And-
properties.
And then across from Eastman Brook, they own a property as well,
Okay.
I believe.
Thank you. That's enough.
Other questions? So we'll get the Conti map for you too. We'll put that in your packet. I think that gives you an interesting prototype of what we could do, I think.
All right. Great. So now we've been through the whole list. And we've heard some reservations. We've heard nothing on a whole bunch of them, which not sure exactly what that means, but here we are. We've gone through all these all the properties. And I think Bruce's point is important to take into account as well, is that this isn't like an end all to if we were to whatever we were to decide on today is something that we're going to be bringing up for approval or bringing up to the townsfolk. So anyway, Bruce.
I want to propose to the staff that they seek to have this public hearing after Labor Day. I think it would be unfair to try to have it during the summer when a lot of people are not either here or focused on this kind of stuff.
I think that's complete. I think it's a great suggestion, Bruce, if I could, Andre, and it's completely up to you when you hold that. But historically, we have not held important public hearings during the summer months, during July and August, because a lot of people are away and vacationing, and
Okay.
more
Thank
people
you.
back in September to participate.
Yep, I'm not in a hurry one way or another, but we should probably look to get it done. So if that's Dave, given that this is how it's been done for big public hearings, I don't know if this is supposed to be a big public hearing either anyway at this point, but it doesn't matter to me. Aaron?
I know it feels like September is a long way off, but for me, planning ahead, I'm already planning into August. So I know the second meeting in September is the 9th. The 4th is the 23rd. I don't know if we want to like tentatively try to pencil in, I'm sorry, the 23rd, 9th and 23rd. I don't know if we want to tentatively try to target one of those meetings and we can revisit that, but I can just pencil it in on my calendar.
Yeah, you go ahead, but we do need to, I think before that, we're going to need to vote on what we're going to propose.
Mhm.
I know I'm saying stuff that's logical, obviously, given but we're going to have to vote on what we're going to propose, and get that to the attorney for the attorney to take a look at as well. So, go ahead and pencil one of those in, and I think we should plan probably for the next for to have this all figured out and moving to the attorney at the end of the next meeting. Is that so what do we have to do still? One of the things we have to do is we've already determined that we are gonna keep something open. So we have to determine, one, do we open it according to state law? Or do we want to restrict further in certain areas? Sarah, you made mention of something, and I had a couple ideas that I'll float some other day or next time, right? So we're gonna keep it open so where are we gonna keep it open? What are the laws that we're going to apply? Are we going to use just state laws or some of ours to make it more restrictive? And then finally, what time of the year are we going to allow it to be open? So I had mentioned last meeting that a time period during which in the for a month in the spring, and then during the hunting season, October through January or something like that. So anyway, those are the three things that we need to determine, as well as this list of lands that we want to remain open. Anything else? Bruce has a hand up. You have. Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
My image is that we've done enough work, and I'm asking you, Aaron, I'm not asserting it. Are we at a place where you could take what we've done, craft it into this is the final for going to the public hearing version, send it out to us a week ahead of time, and then everyone who has any last final comments has to make them, and then we vote on this is what we're sending, rather than I feel like we've gone over so many parts of this often enough now that we've done enough to have a draft that could go to the attorney. Is that your working assumption also?
Yeah, so where I'm at is I still need to go through and basically edit the body of the full document that the commission has edited, get that into a clean version. I'll keep a marked up version and a clean version, have the outstanding questions highlighted on there. And then I think with what we have so far, I could put together sort of an outline, a framework for hunting, to just have the commission review and maybe do just some last minute checks of what do people think about this or what do people think about that, to just streamline it and clean it up a little bit. I think it would probably be a little tight to have that ready for the 29th, but I think if we could aim maybe for the August 12th meeting possibly for that, it might give me more time to assemble all those pieces to have something more cohesive to share.
And then I have an additional question, and this may be a Dave budget question. Is there any reason why we should seek to have an outside copy editor? And could we afford to have an outside copy editor?
What do you mean by that?
I mean that there's been lots of people who've written things. First, there's a lot of language differences where I'm talking about the entire document, and someone who has a fresh eye and looks at it and says, well, it says this in one place and it says a completely opposite in a different place. And I did a little bit of copy editing to the open space and recreation plan, and I'm okay. I'm not a professional, but I found lots of things that that are inconsistencies about punctuation and spacing and font sizes and all sorts of stuff. And the question is, how much does that matter? And if it does matter, then someone who is a professional doing it can catch all that in ways that, and do any of us have the time to go do that? Which I don't.
Aaron?
I don't know that Aaron does.
And
I
we
think
can
the
also,
short, let me answer your questions, Bruce. One, there's really no budget for outside
End of
writing.
story.
And I think having, Aaron is a very good writer, very good at pulling these together, but then it does go through town attorney. And so the town attorney is going to catch, and we are paying for every hour, every minute of the town attorney to go through this, and they will go through it beginning to end based on Aaron, the document that you have voted and drafted, and Aaron has put in a format that meets your guidelines, and then that's probably as good as it's going to get.
And maybe it's as good as it needs to get too. I wasn't asserting that it needed to be more than that. I was just asking.
Yeah, I think that's going to be fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Aaron, your hand's still up. Were you going to comment on this topic?
Well, I'm just getting concerned about the time because we're pushing 8:40, and I think there's people in the waiting room who, are here for other items.
Well, yeah, we're done with this this topic after Carol says what she's gonna, or asks what she's gonna ask. Go ahead, Carol. Thanks for your patience.
Sure. A while ago, we discussed camping, and I had some questions about the decision that got made, and it is in the drafted bylaws. And when I brought it up, I think maybe with you or with Aaron, I was told, well, the staff is going to revisit some of that and make their comments. So I'm just wondering when is that still part of the plan? To have staff input that might change some of our earlier deliberations.
Well, their input would advise us.
Yeah, I know.
But Dave's got his hand up, and I think he's ready to answer.
Yes, it is part of the plan. I'll be really quick. Yes, it is part of the plan, Carol. Good question. Aaron and I talked about it just the other day. We still may have a difference of opinion on something like, can we actually manage camping? I believe the commission, the other one that comes to mind quickly is hours of operation. We still believe conservation areas should be open dawn to dusk and not 24 hours a day. So we will come back before the public hearing with some of our recommendations on some of those items.
Okay, so before there is this final document that we put out, there will be a final, more deliberation to include that. That's all, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think this is gonna go to the town's attorney and then it's gonna come back to us and we're gonna finish it.
Okay. Would that be nice?
Some hard words to say, right? All right, thank you. So so we're gonna I think Aaron, I'd like to talk to you about I'd like to work with you on this a little bit as we move forward and next time that we meet, I'd like for us to have some modular package type thing to put together that we're all going to agree on. Or that we'll mostly agree on so that we can move it forward from there. You're muted, Aaron.
Let's touch base on when that makes sense, Andre, because I'm just not sure, like before the next meeting, I think is going to be challenging for me with all the other irons in the fire.
Sure. I have an idea of what I can kind of picture what I'd like to do. I think we can, one thing is hunting, what's the hunting going to be allowed? Hunting is allowed on Amherst conservation land in accordance with state law, or in accordance with state law, except that this trail, blah blah blah, right? And then the next thing in the line for us to vote on would be the dates within which it can be hunted. The hunting can take place. And then I think if we have that and the properties all put together, then it's all those are the variables. So we can talk offline about it, but I now that we're talking a little bit, I wanted the rest of us to kind of have an idea of what the kind of like the pieces that are movable and not in this. Not very good at explaining it, but okay. So we'll move on to that, we'll move back to that next meeting. And we're looking to, why don't we put off for now the Conservation Commission correspondence protocol and the budget? And let's move to the other business. Who's waiting in the room for us? In the attendees for us?
We have Kristen McDonough from SWCA who's here on behalf of UMass for the request for certificate of compliance at North Village Drive.
All right, let's start there then. So this is for a culvert up in North Village. And it's a request for a certificate of compliance. And it's got to do with UMass. Kristen is here.
Hi.
Welcome. And please give us your name and who you're with.
Hi, I'm Kristen McDonough, professional wetland scientist, certified wildlife biologist representing the University of Massachusetts. And forgive me for not having the file number on the tip of my fingers, but this is
089-0717.
Thank you, Andre. So this is for North Village Drive. I know we're running a little bit low on time, so I'll spare the commission all the background since we had multiple site walks, and I know the commission's familiar with the project. We're here representing UMass just to request a certificate of compliance. The work was completed a few years ago. There were 2 years of post-construction compliance required with the order of conditions to ensure that the post-construction restoration was successful. And we have completed those 2 years of post-construction compliance reports demonstrating that the restoration was successful and is in compliance with the performance standards under the Wetlands Protection Act and the bylaw. All work was originally completed in compliance with the approved plans and the order of conditions. We did submit an as-built that was stamped by, I forget if it was stamped by the surveyors or the engineers. Erin, you can correct me if I'm mixed up about that. The site is obviously completely stabilized because it was completed 2 years ago. All of the remaining erosion controls have been removed. There were a couple pieces of the photo degradable erosion controls still remaining, but I actually stayed for about an hour after our last site walk and pulled all that up. There are no adverse impacts that I was able to document over the 2 years of post-construction monitoring as a result of the project. And just as a reminder, that the purpose of the culvert replacement was to satisfy the commission's original request and to meet the current Massachusetts stream crossing standards. So I'll be here to answer any questions if any commissioners have questions.
I'm sorry, Kristen, you said the purpose of the, can you say that again? The purpose of the culvert was to satisfy the commission's requests?
Yes, yes.
What do you mean by that?
So just all right, so just rewind, so back up. Andre, in case you don't remember, so the original project was to install conduit, underground conduit along a gravel road, North Village Drive, to service the North Village apartments from the central heating plant on UMass campus. And when the contractors were doing that, they were doing directional boring underneath the 60-inch culvert, the really big culvert in Hadley, but they decided that they couldn't go underneath the 10-inch culvert, the one that was replaced in Amherst, because it was a clay culvert and it was so fragile. So they did a replacement in kind without contacting the commission. That was a violation. The commission asked for that to be fixed
Okay,
and to meet the stream crossing
Kristen,
standards.
Kristen, excuse my interruption. That's what I wanted to clarify. It's not because we asked you to do it. It's because the original, because originally there was a violation.
Right, the contractors didn't notify anybody. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
All right, Aaron, for the town's perspective. Thank you, Kristen.
Yes. So, I'm going to do my best. I'm very tired, so I'm going to do my best to be succinct here. So Kristen, and just to refresh, when you gave your presentation, I know there was some discussion about the plastic polypropylene. Did you say you spent time pulling that up?
It did.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
I
okay.
stuck around for about an hour. I made sure I pulled it all up. The auger was helpful.
Okay. All right. So the polypropylene, I think, was one of the commission's concerns because they had used this plastic-based netting, which was not was basic. The commission doesn't allow us to do that, to use that material on projects. So that was one of the things that we had identified. So there was some questions about flow through the culvert. I did reach out to Mark Stinson at DEP just to ask about, you know, what he recommended in terms of should we wait and verify that this culvert is actually able to convey water, since none of us at least have captured photos of it. I know Kristen says she's seen it flowing, but we haven't visually captured photos of it flowing. Is that a rationale for withholding the certificate? And he said that we have to really look closely at the order to make sure that they've complied with the plan design and with the conditions of the order. And so withholding it for the sake of the stream not flowing, he didn't think we really had the ability from a regulatory perspective to do that. I did, after I spoke with him, just go through the order kind of with a little bit more of a fine-tooth comb just to make sure that all of the I's were dotted and T's were crossed, particularly because this was a enforcement case and there was some very specific conditions that the commission outlined. So one of the conditions was signage shall be installed at visible intervals along the limit of the mitigation areas. And then we provided a sample sign. So they did provide 2 signs along the road, which are on site. Whether that the commission interprets those 2 signs to adequately provide a visual boundary around the entire mitigation area is really up to the commission. And I'd be happy to pull up a map that kind of shows, based on the as-built, where those mitigation areas are. So that's one of the questions. The other question was, the as-built shall include riverfront area and the wetland mitigation areas, which shall be conspicuously labeled. Now I believe there is like a conspicuous hatching. So if the commission is comfortable that that hatching adequately delineates the limit of the mitigation area, I think that is fine from a staff perspective. The other item in the order was, and there are some ongoing conditions, right? So if we issue an order of condition or a certificate of compliance, there are several ongoing conditions that we would have to also include in here. But there was a post-construction requirement from a letter, or that was a letter from a registered professional engineer certifying compliance with the order of conditions and detailing any deviations. So there was an as-built provided. There wasn't a letter, and I know Kristen was working on trying to get us one. So those are sort of the items, and I'd be happy to pull up the survey and or the photos quickly so you guys can take a quick look and see what your thoughts are, if that's helpful.
Please do.
Okay, just bear with me a second because I've got to track them down.
So while you're doing that, I was pretty concerned. I was quite concerned about the plastic netting around the I don't know what you would call it, but with the plastic netting, and I mentioned that to Kristen during our site visit. Now, when the pictures that you took, Aaron, I saw some of that netting still there, and it was all a lot of that looked like it was all grown over. Kristen, you mentioned that you cleaned it. Did you pick all of the stuff up that was there, or
Yep.
you did?
I did, but I have a couple comments on that, Andre. One, I love that the commission brought this up, and I brought that up to my commission. I'm in Greenfield, and I think that's a really important thing to include in orders, but that wasn't actually included in this particular order. That wasn't included until the UMass Pavilion order of conditions. This predates the pavilion. So that wasn't actually included in this order, but I totally agree with you and I'm completely on board. And like I said, I'm folding that into, future projects that I'm working on as well. So I did try to pick up as much as I could get.
Right. I mean, but you can't leave a bunch of stuff that's not going to be degradable on the ground there.
So I think that the orders required biodegradable erosion controls was the condition, and photodegradable was a condition that was incorporated into orders that the Amherst Commission was folding in a couple of years later. But like I said, I completely agree with that. And the contractors said they were going to pick it all up and they didn't really pick it all up. So I did spend about an hour or so trying to get whatever remnants that I could find.
Okay. Thank you. Bruce?
And just so we're clear, there were 2 different site visits because Carol and I and Aaron went out there within the last month and a half. And that may be the one where Kristen's commenting that after we left, Because
Oh,
there was some little stuff that's still there, and I just want to be clear there were two different visits, and
you're right. I forgot. We went in April and we went in June of this year. Thank
Right.
you, Bruce. Yeah, you're right.
yeah.
I forgot about that.
So just
Thanks.
sorry to jump in. I can't raise my hand when I'm presenting, but just for the sake of having a visual, this is the as-built. And with the conspicuously labeled mitigation area, I would interpret these hatchings on the plan to represent the area where mitigation was installed as part of the order of conditions. Um, the the red is just a really sloppy line, approximate town line. So the northern part of this is Amherst, the southern part of this is Hadley. And then the red, and these are very approximate, but just showing where the two signs are located proximal to the mitigation area as to whether the commission's good with those items satisfying the conditions in the order.
Bruce? Oh, your hand's up.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, is I mean, I think it could use another sign a little further south, like on the border there, and then I don't know about the other side, but does anybody else have thoughts on this? Jason?
Yeah, Andre, I was thinking the same thing. There's nothing on the other side and one close to the town border.
Mhm. What do you think of that, Kristen?
I actually was just about to pull up the as-built because I think that those should be shown on the as-built plan.
What do you think about putting two more signs up there, Kristen?
Well, I know that the purpose of the sign, so this was my original thought. When I first saw the signs installed, I thought it's great that they're along North Village Road. Because it's really important for the operation and maintenance crew to know not to do any vegetation management over there, even roadside vegetation management. And I've actually been monitoring that over the last 3 years since I've been going out there, and they've been great. And I think those signs are really helpful for that.
So can you
You-
make it quick and just tell me what you think about two more signs?
I mean, I know usually, so when we're doing like, say, a conservation restriction or a deed in fee or some kind of conservation parcel, we normally have them on every vertex. So every, say you've got, like a rectangle, there would be 4, right, on each
You make it quick?
corner. But this, I don't know that we need them on the other side, so on the west side is the power line right of way, and they're not going to be encroaching on
I
the mitigation. So I
Right.
guess I
Okay.
take that back to you guys.
could I just
Yeah.
try to
Yeah,
jump in for a second? I think they meant a sign on this side, Kristen, on the other side of the road.
Okay.
And I think
we're just gonna go ahead and require that.
Okay. Gotcha. I was thinking the other side of the mitigation on the right of way side, which is further to the west. Okay, gotcha. That makes sense.
well, and then the other point I was going to make, and commissioners, I guess just to clarify, are you thinking a sign? I mean, I know this is Hadley, and right now Hadley doesn't have an agent, and Hadley had different requirements. There was work done in Hadley as well, but are you thinking along this to designate this entire area? Because this was a whole stream system where work was done, or are you just thinking on town line like this? And that might be helpful to.
I was thinking we don't have the authority to request or require it to be put on
Okay.
I will say there is one in Hadley.
Oh, there
on the
is.
Hadley
Yeah, there
side.
is one on, but it's
Therefore,
it's on the west side of North Village. So there's not, I
Gotcha.
don't think there's anything on the east side of North Village Drive. So
Okay.
So if Hadley would like us to place one, I mean, Hadley can do whatever they want, but I think for Amherst, I would like to see it up to the town line. And so anyway, one more near the town line and one on the other side, so that anyone working on either side of that culvert knows not to go down there and cut stuff.
So the other clarifications would be, do you think that the mitigation area is adequately conspicuously labeled and marked on this plan?
Uh, maybe you can show me where it says that it's mitigation area.
So it's not actually labeled as mitigation area, it's just identified with this hatching, I believe, is the only real indicator.
So what would what would need to be done in order for it to be marked properly? Is that marked? I don't.
Maybe a label that says, or a key to this plan that identifies it as the mitigation area. Let me just double check that that's not on here.
Yeah, I mean, I think the solution would be fairly easy with with a label or a key. I mean, if that's done, that's a really thing to do.
Just double check
What it's
here.
showing is
I
really,
don't see
it's
it in
showing
the, I
yeah.
don't see it in the key.
All right.
Um,
So
and
let's.
then, okay. And then the other thing was the statement from the engineer, which I think Kristen is working on. So
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we reached out to the engineers today and they said that they would have that in quote short order, but we didn't receive it by 7 and now it's 9. So I think that it's safe to say we're probably not going to receive that tonight. So I don't know if that will hold up the commission's ability to issue a decision or not. Because we do have the as-built and there were no
All right, Kristen.
deviations.
Thank you. Sarah?
I just, I'm sorry that, Aaron, you were told what you were told by Mass DEP, but is there not does somebody not have evidence that it actually works and that the water flows? Is that what I heard correctly, that nobody's seen any evidence that the water actually flows where it's supposed to? Or did I misunderstand?
I haven't seen evidence. I don't think commissioners have seen evidence. I don't think we've seen any photos of it flowing. I know Kristen has, through conversations, has indicated that she's seen it flowing, but that we don't have any photos of it flowing.
Can you provide those, Kristen, just so that we have that? Because that's sort of the whole point.
Yeah, I
Right.
think the fact that we've been in a drought for 2 years, we just don't have it. But I can tell you that I did share a photo file link today with the commission that does show that the rocks in the culvert are stained with red, which indicates that there is hydrology, so that there's iron oxidation happening, which means there's a high water table. And just keep in mind, we went from a 10-inch culvert to a box culvert. We went from a hose to like, you can walk through this culvert now. It's huge. So it's not going to flow the same as it used to. It's going to look different, but there is hydrology. And interestingly, I actually pulled up the most recent USGS topographic map, and that map shows that that stream is actually intermittent. So not worth getting into that whole can of worms, but I can share
You're
that.
confident it works, basically.
I mean, I'm not an engineer, I'm just a dumb biologist, but the engineers certified it and I trust the engineers. Put it that
Okay.
way. If the
Thank you.
elevations are right, I
Okay.
trust them.
Thanks.
All right. Aaron?
So, it just seems like we've got a couple outstanding items, and I know we have another person waiting in the waiting room for another item. We have a bunch of other business, so I just wanted to put that out there.
Yep. I don't think I want to issue a certificate right now. I want to make sure that we have our pending items taken care of, and then we'll do that. And I think it'll be pretty straightforward once those pending items are back. So we're looking for the statement by the engineer and the extra signs, the 2 extra signs. Aaron, anything else? There was one more thing.
The survey adjusted to conspicuously label the mitigation area, which will likely be recorded with the certificate and referenced on the certificate as well as an attachment.
Okay. Guess then that ought to be fairly straightforward, right?
sorry, I'm taking
that
notes.
would
So
be
make sure
straightforward, right?
It's
the
just a key. You
the
just put
as-built,
mitigation.
the legend. Okay, so
Yep.
the adjusted to show the legend shows the mitigation area
Yeah,
Correct.
just you label the mitigation areas or, you know,
and
show that
signs.
show that the crosshatched area is the mitigation areas.
Gotcha. Okay, and so that will be recorded with the RCOC. Okay, that sounds
Okay,
good.
so we'll move on to, okay, thank you,
Yeah,
Kristen.
thank you,
Thank
Kristen.
you. Okay, thanks
Thanks.
everybody. Have a good night. Bye.
All right, so Greenfield Savings Bank, or do we have something?
So no one's here for Greenfield Savings Bank, and I do have somebody here for the request for the amended order of conditions. So I don't know if you want to deal with the amended order while we have a bunch of people in the room waiting for that.
Let's do that.
Okay. So I'm going to add Lawrence.
Kristen's still on.
Yeah, and I can't, once I promote someone to panelist, I can't remove them. So that's the only challenge.
Sorry, I'll log off. Bye.
Bye.
Is someone other than Lawrence Cook going to be on for this?
I don't believe so.
Okay, Lawrence, thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you. First of all, can I just apologize for joining so late? I had to rush to emergency care. My daughter got hit with a softball at practice tonight, so I had to go and deal with seeing if she needed an x-ray. So apologies for not joining
Okay.
earlier.
Hope she's all right.
Yep.
All right, go ahead then. Why don't you tell us what your administrative changes?
Yeah, so the original plans that were submitted as part of the NOI had a particular type of containment, which was almost like a vault with that kind of went around the transformer pad. The type that was specified was not available at the time that we were looking to purchase it during the construction. We sourced another standard oil containment system from BCI, which has been extensively used for this and specifically for this purpose. It's a system that allows for the free flow of rainwater, but with the presence of any hydrocarbons, which you'd get with the transformer oil. It polymerizes the containment and then doesn't allow anything to go through. It is a kind of one and done. So if there was a leak, it would get fully replaced rather than the other one, which would you just basically suck the oil out. This is one that would you'd remove the stone, the oil, and then you'd replace the liner and reinstall. But it's by BCI. The engineer has approved it. We've had the LSP write a letter in support of its suitability for this process. I do apologize that this is a late change, than it was installed without asking. There was an administrative oversight on our part. So apologies for bringing it late.
Okay, Lawrence, can you explain to so what is it that we had there before that was supposed to come out before?
So the oil containment before was again a barrier system, but it has a vault area that you basically suck the oil out of. But it was a hard-sided one that didn't allow anything to pass. It's effectively a trough that went round a hard trough that went round the pad.
And this the one that was put in instead of the one that we had requested, what's that got?
So yeah, just to clarify, the one that was in the plans was not of a type requested by the Concom. It was one that the engineer specified as a response to a request for containment. So the one that's there now has a similar lining to the one that was approved for the BESS system, except for this one is rather than it being a completely kind of sealed liner, it is a liner that is pervious, except for in the presence of hydrocarbons, it solidifies.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Lawrence. Aaron, could you give us the town's perspective?
Well, so really the ask of the commission is to make a determination as to whether this is a minor administrative change that you feel comfortable making a simple vote to approve the adjustment from the original approved order of conditions to the requested change, or whether you're feeling that you need to have a new notice of intent or a amended notice of intent, so amending the previous order of conditions to include this change. So it's really and I included the guidance policy from DEP. The whenever there's a change to an order of conditions, it's got to be presented to the commission, and the commission has to make the call. Is this a minor administrative change? Is this a significant enough change to the plan that it requires an amendment to the original order? Or is it not in keeping with the original order and requires a new order, so that we essentially have a path forward of how to adequately approve the work? And I believe Lawrence is asking for this to be a minor administrative change, where he's asking that the commission just essentially review and approve this as an off the record or outside of a hearing approval of the change.
Thanks, Aaron. Curious about let's turn to the public now and see if there's anyone in the public who has anything to say. I'm not seeing any hands right now. Okay, no one from the public has their hands up. There was a public comment that I saw regarding this that might be worthy of considering. Bruce has his hand up. Bruce, why don't you go ahead?
So actually, I was going to read from part of that public comment and just get to make sure that I'm understanding that it's either correct or incorrect. And if it's correct, what this person is saying, what Lawrence thinks of it. So it says, unfortunately, the same containment system that has been placed around the transformers appears to have been used for the containment around the battery pads. This is confusing because there typically is no oil in lithium batteries, and therefore no apparent need for a containment system designed to capture oil.
Yeah,
Lawrence, yeah, please do.
Yeah, responding to that, it is a completely different liner. I mean, they're superficially the same. They look like a black liner that goes around, so I can understand why the public was confused, but it is a completely separate type of liner. The one around the battery is a specifically impermeable membrane that will not let any chemicals or anything pass through it. There is a valve at one end that is closed in the case of an emergency to prevent anything from going out. The liner that is around the transformer is this BCI barrier boom system with the polymerized liner. It is two totally different products. I did provide the cut sheets for both so that you can review it. So the cut sheet for the battery containment had a different cut. Was a different product. Same manufacturer, but different product.
Thank you, Bruce. More any other?
Yeah, I just wanted to. There was also a concern about how the plastic membrane would survive the intense heat generated if there was a lithium battery fire.
We're not talking about the containment around the battery. That is installed to the specifications and approved by the Conservation Commission. This is specifically the transformer containment.
Okay, and my last question then is also, have you discussed this change with the fire department?
I haven't discussed the change with the fire department. It's I could do, but it's not a fire protection device. It is an oil containment.
Okay, thank you.
So there was also a question about once the fire department starts putting water on it, will it be able to contain that, or will it all run off into the Fort River?
Yeah, it's not a it's for oil leaks rather than fires. So it's not a question of the fire department spraying anything with water. It is if there's a crack in the transformer and it leaks oil.
Okay.
In that respect, it's no different to the one that was in the approved set of plans.
Thanks, Lawrence. So I do have I have an issue with that change. I don't really think it's much of a minor change. I feel like it's quite a big change to be made and then to be requested as a minor administrative change. With that said, I'm one of the full commission here, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass this on to Jason and hear what other opinions are. Jason?
So I had a question about, Lawrence, you mentioned that this containment system is only for spills and leaks. What is in place in case of a fire around the tree?
There isn't anything in place in case of a fire. There's no difference in the effectiveness during a fire situation with the one that was approved and this one. Neither of them are fire ones, but
No, I'm asking if there is a fire.
Yeah.
What safeguards are in place that the amount of water that gets put onto these transformers is actually captured and doesn't just run off into the Fort River?
As I said, neither the approved system nor this revised system sort of contemplates sort of an amount of water that would be used in a fire. It is more for the leaks than for the.
No, I understand that point, Lawrence.
Yeah.
I'm asking you, what is there?
There isn't anything there. There's been nothing there.
So there's a fire at the transformers. There's nothing other than this system, which is meant for leaks. There's nothing to catch any water, filter any water, or prevent water from flowing into the Fort River.
No.
That seems like an oversight, potentially on our part, but on the engineering part, I don't know if anyone else agrees with that, but I don't know if that's something we can revisit at this point, but I'm a little confused how that got by us.
Erin's got her hand up. Erin?
Right. So that's a very layered question, Jason. So let's just say there was a fire, like saying there's a theoretical, right? There's a fire and it's burning for days, and the fire department, their first move would be to probably not put water on it. But let's say they're concerned about it spreading to the other batteries and they were just using the fire to try to cool it down. You're talking probably on the scale of like millions of gallons of water. And there really is no way to contain that volume of water. There's no system or structure that we could engineer that would actually protect that water from moving down into the Fort River at that point. I do recall, though, that when we were originally permitting this project, that I believe there were some trenches, some stormwater trenches that were installed along the perimeter, were supposed to be installed along the perimeter of in this general area. And I don't know And again, these are basically infiltration trenches. So water goes in there, it's going straight to groundwater, but anything that spills is going straight to groundwater on this site. So it's not a perfect system, and there's really no way to engineer a perfect system in that scenario, I don't think.
The other thing as well is with a sort of transformer, the materials it's made, it's basically a copper winding surrounded with metal, and then what would be burning would be the oil. And I don't think you would attack an oil fire with water. That one would probably they would use a foam of some description to more than water on an oil fire.
Good point, Lawrence. Thank you. Bruce?
So I just want to remind us that there's two different things. There's the transformer part and the battery part.
And so
is it correct, Lawrence, that the batteries, the lithium ion batteries, have not been installed?
No, they haven't yet. No,
Okay.
They will be shortly though. We were waiting for the utility to provide aux power to the site so that we could have a separate power feed to run run all the life support systems. That only got completed a couple of weeks ago.
Okay. And then, but the battery containment structures have been built to
Correct.
receive those batteries. We've been out there and seen those.
Yep. Those are fully installed per the plans.
Well, I tend to agree with Andre in part because I feel like it's for the transformer side of it, it would be valuable to have the fire department's input. Now, it's possible that the fire department is waiting for our input. I don't know, but I'd feel more comfortable if I knew what the fire department said about this.
Thanks, Bruce.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to liaise with the fire department ahead of the next meeting and have them provide comment. In terms of whether it's a minor amendment or a substantial change requiring public notice, what I would say is that we haven't changed the capacity of the containment. The capacity is exactly the same. It's specifically designed for the amount of oil that's in this transformer. The transformer itself has FR3 oil, which is not the mineral oil that transformers used to have. It's effectively vegetable oil. I think it's in terms of what we're proposing from what was approved. It isn't a sort of major deviation.
Thanks, Lawrence. Rachel?
Thanks, Lawrence. Thanks for being here to answer questions. I've been reading both of the documents you submitted, the one last meeting and this meeting, and I'm just trying to parse out what's actually installed and what's being reviewed. So the previous submission had a letter from Tetra Tech that said that both products, the one for the transformer and the one for the BESS, was not available.
No, it's only the one for the transformer that was not available.
Okay, so Tetra Tech's letter is incorrect then with the statement that they're both not available. Because the LSP's letter that we got this meeting says they only talk about the transformer.
Yes, that's the only thing we were asking for is the transformer. The battery is installed as permitted.
Okay, and so were you able to get this Siemens XR5 product installed that was approved by the LSP?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. Dave?
Yeah, thanks, Andre. I was just going to mention a couple of things. One, I think it would be great, Lawrence. I know you're going to be in town tomorrow. If you could be in touch with the fire department to get the answer to that question that the commission is looking for more input from the fire department. Separate from this meeting tonight, I'm actually meeting with fire department inspection services Aaron is going to join that meeting a few minutes late tomorrow morning, but we're meeting to kind of go over the whole project tomorrow. Um, I know that Lawrence is going to be in town tomorrow and then next week. Could you give a little update, Lawrence, just on battery delivery and next steps, just so the commission understands where the project goes from here?
Yeah, so the next steps are the battery stack
Just make
delivery.
it brief, Lawrence, please.
Yeah. Yeah, the next steps are the battery stacks get delivered, take a couple of days of delivery to get those craned into place. Then they are wired and electrically connected, so that they all of the life support systems are running. And then the commissioning of the battery cells themselves will take 4 to 6 weeks before we start charging and discharging.
Thanks. All right, folks. All right, does anybody here think that it's more than minor administrative change? I'm going to lift my hand because I don't think it's a minor administrative change. I see 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay. All right, well, let's just take a vote, I think, at this point. I see, so Carol, do you think it's a minor administrative change?
No.
Sarah,
No.
Rachel, I didn't hear you, Rachel.
I said no, sorry, mute.
Yes, that's all right. Jason,
No.
Bruce,
No.
Nina,
No.
I don't think so either. Lawrence, I think it's pretty clear. Do we need to take a vote on this, Aaron?
We just did.
I can hear you. Yeah, I know. You're
Sorry
muted.
about that.
Yeah, no problem.
You don't need to take a formal vote, no, just so long as the applicant knows what their next step is. So I guess my question is, the commission doesn't think that it's a minor administrative change. That's understood. Are you comfortable with Lawrence amending the existing order of conditions to accommodate the change?
Lift your hand if you are. I'm comfortable with it. I just think we need to get a good enough look at this and so on. Yes.
Okay.
Well, Lawrence, I think you have some marching orders.
Yeah, just to help me out, is there anything additional that you want to see when you're contemplating this? I mean,
It would be good if you can provide us something in writing comparing the what had originally been approved and what we have now.
okay.
That'd be
And obviously the fire department as well.
yes. But I think that'd be extremely helpful.
Okay.
So, thanks for asking. Okay. Unless you have any questions, we'll see you in the next meeting.
I'm not sure if it'd be the next meeting because of the timing for public notices, but I'll work with Aaron on when that is.
Sounds good. Well, you have 3 weeks this time.
Oh, okay.
If not the following.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a good night. All right. Well, I think we're all ready to crash out. There is the Greenfield Savings Bank request for certificate of compliance. Do we want to tackle that, Aaron, or is that something we can
Well, I think it's a relatively very quick question, which is in the folder, I took pictures of the 2 wetland marker or the 2 rebar markers. Is the commission satisfied that those 2 rebar markers adequately bound as wetland rebar markers? The question is, do you feel those 2 bounds are adequate?
I don't.
So would you be looking for additional bounds, like more bounds surrounding the wetland, or would you like to see those wetland marker toppers on top of the rebar as well?
Yeah, something big enough to be seen by the people who are going to be working there. And if there's tall grass that needs to be mowed, probably something that's not going to break these people's blades while they're mowing it. Um,
Okay. So
Depending on the
toppers and
character,
maybe
but
taller.
yep. I mean,
t-
that's at a minimum, rock, stones or whatever, but I think we did, I think that's going to be fine. Rebar that's not going to be hidden.
Okay. And do you guys want to see more than 2 rebar markers? I mean, sort of surrounding the wetland in the work area is what I would
It's
presume you'd want to
supposed to
see.
be delineating it, right? Or surrounding it, protecting it. So more than 2, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Certainly, enough that it's obvious.
Okay.
And I'm the only one speaking, but anybody, I see Jason's got his hand. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, and also just not by rebar. You have to cap rebar. You can't just leave a piece of rebar sticking out like that, especially if
Hurt
it's
somebody.
hidden by plants. It's I would prefer not rebar, but if that's the only thing that we've got to go with here, much taller and capped and have a sign on it.
Okay, that sounds good. I can pass that guidance along. So the request for extension of Sweet Alice can absolutely be tabled to the next meeting because we have plenty of time before that order expires. The only other thing was the ARHS track has reached 90% stability, and so I'm at the point of allowing the applicant to remove the erosion controls and cease monitoring. So I just wanted to make sure I was keeping the commission in the loop because you guys are not going to see a monitoring report for that project before the next meeting. So I just wanted to make sure you knew that. But that's fine to adjourn from here.
Anyone opposed to that? Nope, I see no hands, so that should be that's fine. And you can notify them about that. Anything else? Any public comment that we could see? I still see 3 attendees. If you have a public comment before we adjourn, please, let's hear from you now. Okay, I don't see any. Is there any topic that we could not have anticipated 48 hours ago or closer? No hands on that. And finally, anyone care to move to adjourn?
I
I
move.
move to adjourn.
I second.
Easy. Sarah on the motion and Jason. Jason.
Aye.
Rachel.
Aye.
Carol.
Aye.
Tina.
Aye.
Bruce.
Aye.
Sarah.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Thanks for a good meeting, everyone. We'll see you in 3 weeks.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks. Good
Good
night,
night,
everybody.
everyone.
Bye.